Hey everyone, Pat Rigsby here, and I actually have a guest, but a guest host today, my lovely wife, Holly. Oh yes. And we're going to go through some questions that people who are on my daily email list or on Instagram or on Facebook have submitted, and admittedly, I've not looked at any of the questions yet. So this is going to be me doing some business coaching off the cuff, and Holly's going to be our host, ask the questions, and I'm sure interject because there's 0% chance that she's going to stay silent. So
that was really hard for me to stay silent that long, just so you know.
All right. All
right, let's get started. How can I make more money with less effort?
Inheritance. Man, more money with less effort. I think that, I mean, it may be a little bit cliche, but the whole concept of doing fewer things better applies, right? If you become the premier solution in your market, if you pick one marketing channel and get great at it, that's where we're going to thrive. That's where we're going to be able to get better results. So, I mean, we all kind of understand the concept that specialists earn more than generalists. We all kind of get that, we can be in a million different places, online, offline marketing, but if we just kind of blend in and we don't stand out, we don't actually lead in a particular channel, we're going to struggle. We're not going to really ever feel like we're getting the return on our investment that we want. And I think a lot of this has to do with kind of getting out of our lane. So when we think about how can I make more money when, I am investing less time, we probably waste a lot of time doing things that are out of our zone of competence or zone of expertise. I know this is a conversation we've had at various points, right? Where you've talked about, okay, you're going to be the web designer or funnel builder. You're going to be the person editing videos. I mean, does that pay you as much as being the expert in the stuff you're really, really good at?
Absolutely not, and it makes me more exhausted.
So, I mean, we all kind of drift into that, right? Like if you're doing things that you could hire somebody else to do for $15 an hour, and you could go train your ideal client, and ideally even in a kind of a specialty, for 50, 60, 70, maybe more per hour, then every hour that we choose to do the $15 per hour task, we're basically saying, I am choosing to earn $50 an hour less for this time. So we're working at something we're not necessarily great at, and we're making less money for doing it. So, if we're trying to bring this all together and we're trying to say, okay, how do I earn more? How do I work less? We need to start to delegate and elevate to playing our best role in the business. So we need to do the things that we're best at and offer the highest return. Usually that's coaching. Usually that's strategy. And usually that's some sort of selling and maybe marketing that we are good at. We're picking a channel that we're committed to being really, really good, if not being the best at. And then often it can be leadership, right? Leading other people in our organization, setting them up to succeed, and basically coaching them the same way we coach clients. If we spend our time there, we commit to being the best solution for a single target market, or being the best provider of a specific type of offering. So maybe you're targeting the same market all the new group training franchises are targeting, but you're delivering a semi-private or private training service. So yeah, you may still be doing transformation or fat loss, but you're delivering in a different format. So we're doing something differently, and then we're showing up in a marketing channel differently. Maybe you're the preeminent public speaker in your market. Maybe you're better at strategic alliances or networking. Maybe you're the best person on Instagram, but being the 10th best person at any given thing in a market is probably a surefire way to get the opposite of what this question was asking, like earning less and working harder to get it. So that's about it.
I like that. Delegate and elevate.
There you go.
Nice. All right, next question. How do you make prospects understand why your services cost more than similar copycat programs?
Maybe the better question is, how do you help prospects understand why you're actually worth more and not necessarily cost more, because you cost what you cost. But how do you justify that, I think, is what the question's probably getting at. You make it about them. One of the things that happens a lot in the fitness industry is that people price something in a very arbitrary fashion, and then they don't really ever justify why it's priced as it is. They simply say, okay, here are the programs we offer, here are the times they're available, here's what they include, and let people kind of decide for themselves as to why it's valuable. So if you want to kind of shift things away, become more client-centric when you're conversing with a prospect instead of program-centric or tool-centric or anything like that. So how do we actually do that? The first thing I would tell you is ask more questions and ask better questions. Ask open-ended questions. For example, you might ask somebody, so if we were sitting down together 12 months from now, what would be a dream come true result for you? And now the prospect actually gets to talk about why they're here in the first place, what they actually want. Now, if they give you kind of a vague answer or a really short, kind of incomplete answer, you get to ask follow-up questions. You get to dig in a little bit deeper. And then you can ask a follow-up to their answer and say, well, what do you feel like needs to change or happen for you to get there? And so they're acknowledging that they need to change. They're acknowledging that they need to do something different. But see, what's cool about this is once they've answered these, you're not having to convince them. They've already convinced themselves. They've already told you they want something different for themselves. They want something better, and they know that they have to approach how they're trying to get there differently if they want a different result. Then you get to kind of dovetail things together and say, okay, well, here's how we can do this together. Here's how we can help. So if you say you need accountability, then you get to talk about how your program provides the accountability they're looking for. If you need motivation, if you need program design, if in the past the things that you've done have always resulted in you kind of falling off the wagon, how this will be different. And then you can back that up with social proof. You can talk about people who've been part of your program who have gone through and really been where this person is and achieved the results similar to the ones they want to achieve, and how maybe they've used your program needing some of those same things, whether it's accountability or structure, consistency, and really kind of gotten to where they're trying to go. So now, this hasn't been about you convincing somebody. It's been about them convincing themselves and them having social proof to validate that. Does that work?
Yeah, I love that. And I've just recently been using this, and it is such a significant shift because it actually demonstrates that you care, and in turn it deepens their commitment.
I like it. So what's our next question?
What's the best strategy for renewing clients?
The best strategy for renewing clients. So, I'm not sure that there's a single best strategy, but I would tell you that there are a handful of things that kind of interplay in the renewal process. The first is not seeing the relationship with a client as kind of a beginning and an end, and understanding that every time that you're with this person, you're winning their business for the next session, the next week, the next month. Because even if they paid for it, if they're no longer enjoying it, they're probably not coming around. So committing to treating every day as kind of day one, and we need to win their business for tomorrow, I think is a mindset shift. The second thing would be helping people feel more connected and more important. And a lot of that has to do with things that you're doing beyond just the typical workout, right? Whether it's the personal touch within the session, calling people by name, celebrating their successes, catching them doing things right, or what we call the other 165, the things that are happening between the sessions, because they need to feel really, really connected. Because I think one of the things that we lose sight of is when we have a client come in, we're really asking a lot of them, right? We're asking them to kind of rearrange their normal and add something to the plate that they already probably perceive as pretty full. And we're asking them to make us a very consistent part of their week, probably more consistent, definitely more time committed to this than any other business that they interact with. Even if they're going to Starbucks almost every day, they're probably not there cumulatively a total of 3 hours a week. So we need to understand that and appreciate that and demonstrate that appreciation as often as we can, both inside training sessions and outside. The next thing I would tell you is don't wait until the end to try to renew somebody. If you've ever noticed with like magazine subscriptions or that sort of thing, they start trying to renew you in the middle of your term, right? Because they understand that the less time they have to work with, the more potential that something can go awry, that something comes up, that you get busy, that you miss it. And the same thing happens with our clients, right? If we're trying to renew them and we wait until that last 2 to 4 weeks before we ever mention it, then we have people that maybe they're busy then, maybe they get sick, maybe something comes up that's disruptive to them. But if you're trying to renew them in the middle, then if they're busy, you say, you know what, we'll just revisit this in a month. And then beyond that, how can we incentivize them to take action and make this commitment? I would tell you that if you can give somebody the thing that's very popular in the cosmetics world, right? The gift with purchase. I'm not encouraging you to like discount if they renew, but I certainly think that you can give them some sort of incentive for renewing, whether it's a supplement package or, hey, if you renew by this date, we're going to give you a massage or a package of a couple of massages or something like that. Because for us, we may intuitively look at that like an expense, but the reality is we buy our clients one way or another. So now we're not having to go out and test advertising that we don't know if works. What we get to do here is just invest some money when it already does work. So we're only paying for performance and not potential of performance. So combine those kind of 3 things: really treating people well and winning their business day after day, trying to renew people early, and incentivizing them through the renewal process. And I'd say that's probably the best overall plan you could have.
Sign me up.
Of course. Now, again, this is why we have our host, right?
But I was quiet for so long.
I know.
So as far as clients go, how many clients do I really need?
One that pays really, really well. I think in our industry, we've fallen into this trap of more is better, right? More gross revenue is better. More total clients are better. More space in our facility is better. And that's probably the wrong way to look at this. Maybe the better approach is saying, okay, what do I need to live the life that I want? So if we just make this about personal income, since this is a business and we're serving clients to drive the business, well, how much personal income do I need? Well, let's say that I want to make $100,000 a year, so I need $8,333 a month. Well, how many clients do I need with the overhead that I have, with whether it's the space, the equipment, the staff, the ancillary stuff like the billing software or whatever else? how many clients do I need to be left with that amount of money? And I'm pretty sure that not 1 in 20 business owners approach how they drive their business in this way. They basically start at the beginning, say, I'm going to go spend this much money on my overhead, and then I'm going to build it and hope I can get people in the door. Instead of saying, no, I want to make this much money. And so let's say that that's the number we need to be left with. Well, how many people do I need to make that amount of money? Well, if I have a lot of overhead and, I'm leasing high-end retail space, I've got a big loan or lease for equipment, and that's kind of in play, then obviously I'm going to be needing more than if I'm doing this through in-home training, or if I'm just subleasing something inexpensive, or I'm an independent contractor. But if we say, okay, let's just use that 8,333 as our baseline number. Well, maybe let's say that you're the only person, you're a solopreneur, you've got a little bit of overhead, and you're able to keep, as far as pre-tax income, half of what's coming in. Then, we need about $17,000 a month coming in. If you're charging people doing private training $500 a month, then we need 34 people, right? That's it. Do the math and reverse engineer where you want to go. Now, obviously, most businesses aren't going to run at a 50% margin, but if it's just you in a little space, that's probably a possibility. If you're subleasing, that's probably an even bigger possibility. But we need to think about what we actually want as a result of training, not just assuming that more and more and more will lead us to where we want to go. In fact, I remember meeting with some mastermind members, and they were above the midpoint in pricing and that sort of thing, and they were hovering in like the 115 range for a number of clients, and it was predominantly like semi-private type stuff. And they're like, look, we've always wanted to get to 150. We've always wanted to get to 150. I'm like, why? And they're like, well, if we got to 150, then we'd probably be able to make more income. We'd probably be breathing a little easier. And I'm like, well, then why isn't the goal just to make more income? Instead of assuming that this kind of prerequisite type of thing will automatically lead to the result we want. Let's just pursue the result we want directly. That may not have been the most direct answer to that, but I think it's probably the right answer.
No, I like it. Very thorough. So final question. How do I manage the money that comes in?
Oh, boy. You want to take this?
Don't ask me.
How do I manage the money that comes in? Spend it. So that's a pretty big topic, right? So the first thing that I would tell you would be get a good CPA. You need an accountant to proactively help you manage your taxes, not just reactively file your taxes at the end of the year. You're a business owner. You shouldn't be going to H&R Block. You shouldn't be using TurboTax. You need to have a CPA that understands your business and can help you do effective tax planning. So we need to look at it from that perspective first. The second thing that we need to do is maybe, I would probably recommend the book Profit First. I would tell you that I don't know that in the book they talk about having all these different accounts, and we're talking like a bunch of different accounts. I don't know that you need quite as many accounts as the author recommends, but the general concept I think is great, right? We have an account to go ahead and put our quarterly tax money away in. We have an account, kind of our rainy day fund. And then, we're paying ourselves first, but we're also investing money not just in our personal salary or personal income, but we're also paying ourselves when it comes to security, when it comes to retirement. See, that's something that I think most small business owners don't think about, because we're very much kind of day to day. We've got to get through the day. We've got these expenses coming in now. We're kind of reactive. But ultimately, as a small business owner, one of the things that I learned probably the hard way was that, when you're an employee, all that stuff's taken care of for you, right? You get the paycheck at the end. The money for health insurance, the money for retirement, that's already separated out for you before that paycheck comes to you. And so it becomes a little cleaner, a little simpler. Now, as a business owner, you're the one responsible to make sure that you actually are getting money put away in retirement. And one of the things that I think that we in our industry, and I'm sure that a lot of other small businesses are this way, I just don't know them quite as well as I know what we do, is I think plan for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, right? Like we think, well, hey, I'm going to run this business, and then when I'm done, I'll just sell it and I can retire. The problem is our business, because it's usually very service driven, it's kind of personality driven in a lot of cases, and it may not be, the type of business that is likely to resell for the price you would like to get for it, especially as a single location. So we need to be putting money away during. So in my mind, there are kind of two types of businesses. There's the cash out business that we're selling at the end, and then the cash flow business that we're trying to derive our personal income, our retirement, all the security stuff that we need now. And what's great is if you become adept at that and you're saving money every month, then you don't need that big kind of windfall at the end, because not only were you accruing some of that money over time, whether that's 10, 15, 20 years, but you were also able to invest that money so it was able to compound over time. And that cumulative number is going to be much bigger than if you would have waited to sell. So I think being proactive, I think taking an approach like profit first and saying, okay, this is how I'm going to separate things out. I think paying yourself first is a big deal that it took me a long time to come to. And then leaning on professional help. Start with an accountant, and then beyond that, consider hiring a bookkeeper, somebody to help kind of take this off your plate, but then give you usable data that you can employ to help make better decisions, to find expenses that maybe you don't need, and ultimately pay yourself more now and in the future. So does that work? Is that okay?
That sounds good. There's no reason not to succeed.
Just tie it all together there, right?
Yeah.
So
those are all the questions I have.
Well, I guess that's good. Any off the top of your head, any big life-changing questions here?
No, I get access to you every day, so I already get those knocked out.
I don't know what to say. But all right, well, hey, this is Pat and
Holly,
and we're signing off. Thanks. Thanks for watching. If you click the first link in either the description or the link in the pinned comment, you can get my latest book, The Ideal Business Formula, for free. And if you like this video, hit the thumbs up button for me. If you have any questions or comments or video requests, leave me a comment below and I'll be quick to respond. And lastly, make sure to hit the subscribe button. I'm posting videos weekly now, and if you turn your notification bell on, you'll be sure to get them all.